Hey everybody, and welcome to Let's Look at Mini Motor Racing Evo. This is a brand new on Steam. I believe this was an iOS version first. We have kind of a Jack Lumber situation going on here, especially since this costs $10 or $8 in its opening week sale. But anyway, I digress. Let's talk about the game before I get into that. It's a brand new top-down arcade racer. Kind of in the same vein as something like a Bang Bang Racing or Death Rally, which I played recently. Now, it's gonna seem, because I kind of didn't like those games, and I kind of really don't like this one either, it's gonna seem like I hate top-down racers, but this is not true. I grew up on a lot of top-down racers. You know, playing the ones, the stand-up arcade cabinets with the two pedals and the steering wheel. I really like those kinds of games. I just don't like the ones that have come out recently on Steam. In any case, let's get started and we'll talk about what I do and don't like about this game. I'm using the Xbox 360 controller here, and one thing I really do not like is the fact that it has kind of some controller inconsistencies. Like, I don't think I'm alone here in thinking that, you know, racing games usually, at least for my personal preference, control better with the controller, but only the analog stick seems to work for navigating the menus, and only the D-pad seems to work for driving. At the very least, when I drive with the analog stick, I drive like I move it to the right, and then the car goes to the left. It's very strange, but the D-pad works really well for racing. But let's join the career mode here. Like every racing game ever made, essentially, this has a career mode, which kind of is similar to the Mario Kart-style GPs. So we're going to have like beginner-level cups with 4 races, and then we'll have intermediate level, and so on and so forth. There are a variety of cars here. Each one of these cars has its own special stats associated with it. I don't know if they're balanced at all, but there's some cool cars that are included in here. I mean, you can see there's a big difference. I mean, obviously this is like a Herbie style car. We've got a hot rod, a police car, school bus. You know, Santa sleigh, a LaDorian, which is inevitably going to be a DeLorean, but copyright protected. So that might tickle your fancy a little bit. That's kind of cool. I've just been driving with the sedan here. If I could go, oh, I think it's this one. Not the sedan. Sorry, it's not the pickup either. Hatchback. That's what I've been using. Just because this was the default one, and let's continue onwards here. You can buy upgrades for your car in 4 areas, so top speed, acceleration, handling, and nitro. I'm gonna buy a handling upgrade right here, and then we'll select our race, which will require us to save our upgrade. So this is a way you can kind of consistently improve your car as you play, and then we will select our championship. So right now we're in the Crankshaft Cup. This is like the 4th level that fourth world that we've done, only the 3rd cup actually. Alright, so I haven't really played too much of this. I played probably around a half hour so far, but that's more than enough to learn the basic mechanics. And kind of the elephant in the room here is there are these like Team Fortress 2 and Portal 2 inspired tracks, which we'll jump into, but they are very superficially related to these games. Basically, they just take the assets and the voice acting of the announcer from Team Fortress 2 and GLaDOS. I'm assuming that it's like first-party GLaDOS anyway, legitimate GLaDOS, from the game, and just have them intersperse sound clips that may or may not be relevant. But let's jump into this Team Fortress 2 level, and I'll talk about what's going on here. So if you've ever seen a top-down racer before, you're going to be pretty familiar with what's going on. I am well, you'll know who I am because it's going to focus on me, essentially. AI is not super good in this game so far. They seem to spam their nitro in like the worst possible cases, and nitro seems to be a very important, oh god, talk about spamming your nitro in the worst possible situation. It seems to be a very important part of your success, timing it and using it effectively, but they can get in your way. So in terms of the driving mechanics, it's really drift focused, which there's nothing innately wrong with that. Some racing games embrace the drift and some don't. This one absolutely does. But it's definitely not, like the kind of Forza or Gran Turismo style thing that you might be used to. Now, you might be noticing some power-ups on the level. This is one of my major complaints about this game, is that for an arcade racer, there is like a huge dearth of power-ups. Maybe more get introduced later, but I mean, is it really reasonable to expect more power-ups to get introduced like 45 minutes into the game, or 2 hours into the game, as opposed to right at the beginning? All we have for power-ups is nitro, so there's like a huge gap. Oh wait, there's another power-up right there. That might just be cash though. Anyway, I won. As you can see, the races are pretty short usually. And again, that is basically all the TF2 love that you're going to get there, is that fanfare at the end and occasionally the announcer talking. Anyway, we get money for finishing the race, but yeah, what I was getting at before, the point I was going to make is we just jump into another level right away here. Loading times are quick, I will give the game that. But the huge lack of power-ups, like all there is nitro. So you start with 3 nitro, as you use it, you get, it depletes, and then you have to get back nitro by picking up these like NOS canisters that you find on the level, which to me is just like, okay, I'm playing a top-down racing game in 2013 that only has one power-up. I mean, if the core driving was amazing, that wouldn't matter so much. But the core driving is not that much fun. I mean, it's okay, but it's certainly nothing to write home about. I mean, in terms of top-down racers that have come out on Steam recently, I would say this is worse than Death Rally, because at least that had some kind of cool, multiplayer combat aspect to it, which is not what this aspires to be necessarily, but it was more fun, and I hated Death Rally, so that should give you some kind of feeling of how I feel about this. I also, oh god, what have I done? I also can't stress enough, that was me trying to use the analog stick there, that was terrible. I also can't stress enough that this game is $10 fucking, which to me seems absolutely batshit crazy. It's another case of this being out on iOS, and I don't know if this is like the deluxe HD Game of the Year edition or something like that, but it's out on iOS for $2 or $3, and now for whatever reason on Steam it is 10, which seems, again, just unfathomable to me why you would make that decision. At $2 or $3, I don't know if Steam can actually release games for $2, but they can definitely release games for $3. I've seen games for $3 quite often, actually. It would be a much harder game to lampoon, maybe, than it is in its current state. But in its current state, I'm looking at this and I'm like, $10, man, that is like very nearly like Braid or, Bastion levels of price. Those are only $15, for $5 extra, you kind of put yourself in that tier of games that maybe you don't necessarily want to compete with. And you might say, oh, it's only as much as, 2 foot-long sandwiches from Subway. This episode brought to you by Subway, by the way, now. But at the same time, like, I think that this is just an ignorance of the market, maybe. Don't get me wrong, I don't want to get into this again because I got into it too much in the Jack Lumber video. I understand the negative pricing pressure on iOS and why you can't charge a game or charge $10 for a game on that because people just simply won't pay it. At the same time, games that were designed to be $2 or $3 on iOS maybe, and for the most part, shouldn't be $8 to $10 on Steam. I'm just throwing that out there. It's honestly a little bit offensive as a PC consumer, especially when this game is mechanically not so great and feature-wise very, very shallow, not only compared to its competition, but compared to the much wider array of like overall competition on the PC in general. Like, would you rather pick up this or would you rather pick up Sword of the Stars: The Pit or something like that? Also, I realize I'm on the beginner cup here, but I'm basically thrashing the AI. I didn't even use my nitro until the very end there. I just used it to add insult to injury, essentially. So I haven't had too much trouble being successful here. I'm sure people want me to check out the portal level here. So why don't we do that? Again, I'm trying to use the D-pad on the menu here. Just doesn't work. But if I try to use... let me try to do a race with the analog stick, and I swear to God, I'm not going to play this up. This is just going to be me trying to race as best as I can with it. So, I mean, it's going pretty well so far, but I almost think I can't turn right now. Like, I can't turn it right anymore. But if I hit the D-pad, I can. It's almost like the analog stick, once you move it in one direction too much, it just stops. Almost like a real steering wheel, I guess. But the D-pad doesn't struggle with that mechanic, so it makes it easier. You could turn the D-pad, 540 degrees if you want to. Whereas with the analog stick, it just locks. Like, let's try to do this upcoming turn with the analog stick. Like so. Like there, I can't turn it anymore. It's just stuck there. So if I want to take another right turn, I don't know if I have to like reset the wheel to the left and then, turn right again. Maybe that's realistic, but at the same time, it's not a whole heck of a lot of fun. Graphically, the game looks fine. I mean, considering this is a mobile port, there's not a lot that I can disparage the game for from a graphical level, but, that's the best praise that I can essentially offer the game at this point. I really can't get over the fact that this is a top-down racer in 2010. It's $10, and there's one power-up. At least to the best of my knowledge, there's only one power-up, which is crazy. Like, isn't there, like, some kind of arcade racer design course where you go, like, all right, Arcade Racer Design fucking 101. Let's race this again because I sucked really bad using the analog stick. But Arcade Racing 101, day one. We're going to take a look at Mario Kart. What do they have in Mario Kart? It's colorful, it's fun, it's multiplayer, and there's a lot of power-ups, which makes it a big part of it. Not to say that if they just added, like, guns and stuff, this would be as good as Mario Kart, because it wouldn't be. But it would be a step in the right direction, I feel. Things feel a little bit bouncy and floaty as well, but that could be by design, and I can't necessarily fault them for that. I mean, Micro Machines was like this, but Micro Machines is a much better game. Also, Micro Machines have much more imaginative levels. Like, if you're gonna do a game like this, we're what, like 20 years past the release of Micro Machines, maybe even more? Try to make some inventive levels. Like, that played on the fact that it was miniature, it had you driving around on pool tables and stuff like that, other household situations, kind of like the Hot Wheels games did sometimes. This is just like, it's almost as if the courses have been shrunk down to size. So you're just racing on standard, like, derivative racing game fodder, like, oh, you're on tarmac, you're on, you know, a dirt road, etc., etc. And it's like, why fucking bother, basically. So, again, I came in first without very much a problem, I guess I could say. Apparently, I have lost all ability to formulate cogent sentences, but let's continue here. You know, we can use our money. We've got 300 now. Oh, sorry, 470. So with that, I should be able to upgrade my car a little bit more, because God knows I'm getting my ass kicked in these races so far. So let's upgrade our handling again, because I think that's pretty important. And then, again, we'll select race. So I will race a couple more times here. This does have a multiplayer mode. We'll check that out, because I like to do due diligence in these videos. Watch me just start to lose now that I go on these harder levels. But there is multiplayer, but, you know, when I played it last night, I matchmake. And what I will say is that there was a feature that I don't see in a lot of games, which is basically a bar that was like, when this is finished, we've matchmade for you, and if we don't find anybody, just create your own game. That's a good feature, because most of the time you sit at a matchmaking menu for like 20 minutes, and you're like, I don't know if anybody's playing the game. You know, it perhaps unsurprisingly came back and said, hey, nobody's playing the game right now, maybe you should host your own. And I'm like, well, if nobody's playing, I don't want to wait here for, you know, maybe ad infinitum for someone to show up. And it appears my fears of losing to the AI have now become you know, a little bit alleviated, considering I'm about to lap them here. I don't know what it is, like, here's my formula. If I am sure, you know, if at this point, if the developers of this game are watching, I apologize for offending you, but I really think there have been some missteps here. But here's my formula for making a good top-down racing game, or improving this game to make it suitable for a Steam market. One, it has to be cheaper. This cannot be a $10 game. You know, maybe you have better sales data than me, and you can say for yourself that I'm full of shit and this is going to sell 50,000 copies. By all means, if you have the data to back that up, that's okay. But for me, this needs to be cheaper. This needs to be at most a $5 game, preferably even lower. It needs to be more arcadey. This kind of toes the line between an arcade and a sim, but in the silliest way possible, because we're racing these like tiny cars. It needs more inventive level design by far, and it definitely needs like another mechanic beyond just like timing your use of nitro. Like the superficial sort of nature of the design of this game is very much on display. I feel like this is the not angriest, but most negative I've been in a video in a long time, and I hope it doesn't come across that I'm just, you know, shitting on this game for the purpose of, I don't know, like drumming up attention about my high standards or something like that, because that's definitely not what I'm trying to get at here. What I'm trying to get at here is, you know, this is just not where it needs to be to recommend a purchase to anybody, basically. It's worse than any other top-down racer I've played so far on Steam, with the exception of Bang Bang Racing, which just didn't run on my computer. And beyond that, it's way too expensive, and there's just not much redemption here in terms of its qualities, except for the fact that it looks kind of cool. And again, there is the added slap in the face of this being literally, you know, 4 to 5 times more expensive than it is on iOS. And again, I understand the pricing pressures on iOS and how that doesn't necessarily exist on Steam, but, you know, I have some respect for your player base. When I look at the price of this game and then I, you know, search it on Google, and the first result is that this is like, you know, $2 on iOS. That makes me feel bad as a consumer, and makes me, you know, want to talk badly about the game and tell my friends not to buy it, and in this case, I'm telling a lot of friends not to buy it anyway. You know, I don't know if we really need to do one more race here. What I will do to finish out this video, just to give it a chance, basically, is we'll head back to the main menu, and I will see if there is some multiplayer going on online. I don't know if there is local multiplayer. I should check into that, because that is kind of a special... it would be an asset for this game to have local multiplayer. Again, I played, you know, Micro Machines, and I can't remember the name of that arcade machine with the stand-up steering wheel and the pedals and then the local co-op, like they could link together, but those were a lot of fun. But there's also a track editor, cool beans, if you want to, you know, make your own tracks that are cooler than the ones in the game. And I will say, you know, to the game's credit, unlike Jack Lumber, it has a sizable options menu, which actually does allow you to adjust the resolution and stuff like that, which is an asset. And, you know, they didn't have to do that, but I'm glad that they did. So let's go to multiplayer here. Oh, there is local multiplayer. Okay, so that is a positive, and we'll try to auto-match a public game here. I hope that... Oh, no games found, waiting for players. That's kind of what I expected. But in any case, this is Mini Motor Racing Evo. If you've been watching to this point, it should be pretty apparent that I have a sizable number of problems with this game. Fundamentally, it's not terrible, but there's a lot of weird control quirks that don't necessarily work for me with the Xbox 360 controller. It's kind of bereft of any addictive nature, which is something these games kind of need to thrive on. It doesn't have an online community that's really playing the games, and it's super, super shallow. So, you know, beyond that, a $10 price point is a little bit offensive at this point. But in any case, there will be a link to the video to the store page in the video description. If you are interested in picking this up, I would recommend that you don't. That's how you can know that the links I put in the video description are never affiliate links where like I get a cut of if you buy it. Because like right here now, I'm saying just seriously, like maybe if you're the 0.05% of population that is just die hard in love with top-down racers and you have to have them all, by all means, there you go, man. But everybody else, I would steer clear, get it? Didn't mean to drive you away, but in any case, as always, thanks for you guys for watching, and I will see you next time.